What's going on, guys? It's Megan and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be talking about grief. A lot of people have asked for this, probably because I promised it at the end of how I lost my arm video, so sorry for the delay. I just, needed some time to get my thoughts together, and real life stuff has been happening, so I'm finally sitting down to make this video for you guys. But one thing that I wanted to kind of note before I jump right in is that a lot of people kind of acknowledged that I tell the story of how I lost my arm with kind of a lighthearted vibe. I'm able to tell my story with a lighthearted vibe because I have overcome my grieving process. So I just wanted to say that because I don't want people watching this video to think that, like I lost my arm and it's always just been sunshine and rainbows. It wasn't immediately easy for me. I will say that I think my grieving process took about 3 years for me to go through completely. So, whatever it is you're going through, I don't know if you're just watching because you may not be going through anything. You may just be watching because you're interested. But at some point in your life, you're going to go through something that triggers the grieving process. So the first thing that I want to note is that grief is necessary. Like, it is so crucial that you allow yourself to go through this. And actually, the sooner that you kind of realize that you're going through something and allow it to happen, I don't want to say the easier it will become, but the quicker the process will move. Because when you're able to acknowledge, like something crazy, terrible just happened to me, my brain just needs time. I just have to go through this. I have to these are real emotions and I need to feel them. The quicker that process moves. The more time you spend fighting it, sadly, the slower the process will move. So to just kind of get started, the grieving process consists of 5 stages. When I first learned it, it was 7, but I looked it up and it's 5. And it comes from a book, I believe, written by this woman named Elisabeth Kubler Ross. So I'll just write her name in the description because I don't even know if I'm saying it right, but I'm pretty sure that's what her name is. So she did all this research on psychology and grief and what happens to people when they undergo trauma, and she came up with these 5 stages of grief. So everybody goes through these stages at different times, and it takes them different amounts of times for each stage. My entire grieving process started with the first stage, and that is denial. So denial is just like a defense mechanism that the brain uses when something bad happens, because essentially when you undergo trauma or you experience loss, it's just too much. It's too much for your brain to handle. It's too many emotions, too many feelings, too many, like your brain could be firing stuff if you lost a limb to that limb. Like it's really just physiologically and psychologically way too much for the brain to handle. Basically, what denial does is buy you time and buy your brain time to be able to process these things a little bit slower. So my experience with denial happened pretty much immediately when I was discharged from the hospital. I remember going home and taking the bandages off and seeing myself without an arm in the mirror for the first time, and the pit in my stomach, to this day have never had a pit like that in my stomach. It was the most painful, sickening sight to see. And I think that going home and seeing that just triggered this stage of denial for me. I just didn't want this to be true. I didn't want this to be my reality. I would wake up from dreams where I had 2 arms and only have one, and it would just crush me. My accident happened winter of my freshman year of high school, and I probably spent, that winter until the following fall in this stage of denial. When I got back home from being discharged from the hospital, I just wanted to jump right back on the horse. I wanted to return to play, return to normal life, and do all the things that I was doing before. I was wrestling, I wanted to get ready to start running track. It would have been my first high school season. But I think more than anything, I just wanted to be normal. You know what I mean? I received a lot of, attention and, people kind of feeling sorry for me, or people trying to be friends with me because they just didn't know how to act. And I think that it really bothered me. And so I spent this period of time in denial because I couldn't process that this was real. I lost my arm, and this was the way that it was going to be, for the rest of my life. So I think spending that long of in denial. I spent almost a whole year in this stage of denial, and you know, there's nothing I could have done to change. You don't get to choose when you grieve. Grief is something that happens to you, so it's not like I could have shortened that period of denial for myself. But it definitely was like a hard stage, and it felt like my life was just surreal. It just felt like a movie. It didn't feel like it was, you know, something that had actually happened. So I think, you know, after kind of the support of my community wore off, and you know, because I had like this little sense of fame within my community because so many people from my small town rallied around me. And then when kind of everyone else resumed to normal life, I was just kind of left there, and I hadn't made any progress, and I was missing a limb, so I struggled with that a lot. So after all my wounds were healed, and you know, I started to depend on my mom less, that's when I kind of realized that this was something that was very real. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and kind of hearing part 2 of my story. If you did, please do me a favor and give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.